Hi everybody, welcome to the Bassinhole. My name is Paul Miller and I'll be your guide today. We left you last time after the unboxing of the BASS Lifetime Membership Rewards, and we got this wonderful reel that I wanted to show you how I spool these things up. So with most reels you're going to have a situation where you have these holes actually drilled through the spool, and if you're using braid, it's advantageous to slip the braid through those holes and actually make a knot there so that it doesn't slip whenever you actually set the hook on a fish or whenever you're winding. Secondly, I like to back my reels with braid. I use the cheapest braid I can get. This is a 3,000 yard spool of the Bass Pro House brand braid. I think it's Magi braid, 30 pound. I'm going to back this reel with that, and then I'm going to put some fluorocarbon on over top of that. Fluorocarbon is expensive, and you have to change it pretty frequently because of memory, so I don't like to use a lot of it. The braid, while it isn't cheap, it does last forever as backing, and you can get away with putting that in once and leaving it there for a really long time. The braid I'm using, like I said, 30 pound Magi braid, and the fluoro I'm using is 15 pound Seaguar and Vizex. I've got a 1,000 yard spool of that. So this is going to be a pretty quick tutorial. I've already got a knot tied on this reel. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off and then tie the new one on. Let me go ahead and just take this off my spooling station. When working with your reel, you want to make sure that you push your line through these holes. You don't want to go all the way around the spindle. The actual shaft in there sometimes doesn't rotate with the spool if you've got bearings, and you can wear that shaft out if your line is resting on it as the spool spins around. It'll also create drag and reduce the distance of your casts and the overall performance of your reel. So you want to avoid having the line touch that spindle if possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take out a bit of braid here, and I'm going to spool it through my my spooling station so that it's ready for the reel, and then I'll do the reel in a location that that you can see it. Anytime I'm working with my my line on the spooling station, I like to lubricate the line with some line and lure. This stuff helps increase the lifetime of your line, and helps make it slick when it's running through these guides that I've set up on my spooling station. I just wet the spool real good and make sure that it's well lubricated. And I do this every time I spool, so these these spools of line are really well coated in this stuff. So before you put the line into the reel, what you want to do is bend it so that it'll actually slip through one of the holes and into the other. Go through the eye of the reel. Come out the back side, and like I said, get the line nice and bent so that you can just slip it through. You want it to be like a J hook so that you can control where it goes in and out. Sometimes it helps if you wet the tip of the line. It'll hold its shape a little better. Then you're just going to slide it in and try and maneuver it up and into the next hole. Once you get it through, you just pull it, get you enough slack there that you can actually tie a knot. And I'm just going to tie a couple of overhand knots just to secure it to the spool and keep it from pulling out. And there you have it. So now I'm going to go ahead and just trim off the tag end. You don't need to make it perfect. Leave a 1/2 inch or so for overlap. That'll help just secure the line in place. Then I'm going to slide this onto my spooling station and just reel it up about halfway. Got springs tensioning the spooling station in place so that as I start winding on this, you get a nice tight line. You want to set your drag so that you can't pull the line off too easily. Otherwise, with the tension, you're just going to be moving your line guide back and forth without actually getting any additional line on there. Alright, as soon as you've got it reeled up about halfway, as you can see that's pretty close to halfway there, or as far as you think you can cast, then it's time to switch over to your other line. And in this case we're using the fluorocarbon, and that's the Seaguard Dizex 15 pound. Alright, we're going to be in the process of switching out the lines here. You're going to have to tie a connector knot, and there's plenty of different connector knots that you can use. The one I prefer to use is the FG knot. It's not necessary when it's deep in the spool like this, but if you're ever doing a leader to braid, the FG knot is by far the best knot you can use. It's slim, it goes through even the smallest of micro guides with little to no issues, and it's strong. You lose relatively no strength out of your line. So first thing I'm going to do is just cut off a bit of line, and I cut a little short there, make some room. I'm going to take my other line and pull it out. And what you want to do is you want to take the end that is secured to your rod, or in this case to my reel, and you want to keep it tight. Then you take the other line and you're just going to loop it back and forth on itself. So in this instance what I'm going to do is just going to use my mouth to hold tension on the braid, and then I'm going to loop the I'm just going to use my mouth to hold tension on the braid, then I'm going to loop the other line back and forth. You're going to do it about 15 times total both ways, and that'll make it a nice and secure knot. 12 to 15 times. After you've got them both, to get the fluorocarbon looped enough times, you just take them both, hold them in your hand. Make sure you keep it tight so it doesn't unwind on itself. Just do a couple of 1/2 inch knots with both lines to secure it. As you can see, I'm doing the 1/2 inch over both lines. This secures it in place, makes it good. And then pull it tight on itself, make sure it's nice and straight, push it down a bit. And then what you want to do is take your braid and just loop it on itself with a couple of 1/2 inches to get the taper on the front end of it so that it comes back into the guides as you're reeling. Now that you got that, you can just cut off both ends as close to the knot as you can get them, and you're good to go. It's a good secure knot, and it's not going anywhere. This is probably the ugliest one I've ever tied, but even so, it's still nice and strong. Now that we've got our connecting knot in place, we just start reeling again. You always want to stop your spool before it's all the way full. Otherwise you'd be prone to backlashes and things like that. So there you have it. That's how you spool a reel. We'll see you guys next time.